Resource Management for the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua Tribe of Indians.
Gina Beam, and I work for Glider Advisation as the Executive Director.
Tom Kress, Douglas County Commissioner.
Emily Ring, Douglas County Emergency Manager.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start in on the actual project presentations, and the first one up is Cow Creek.
Monty, that was we had a very brief introduction, so we're a little ahead of schedule. Are you ready to do your presentation at this time?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to Zoom in like this. We're traveling today, so I appreciate it. We shouldn't have any interruptions, hopefully. My name is Monty Bryan. I'm the fire chief for Cow Creek Tribal Fire Management with the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians. So our proposed application is for the Cow Creek Umpqua Tribe Early Detection Camera Project. This is a project that's going to hopefully allow us to put a camera, a fire early detection camera in the tribal land in the Tiller area. The overall budget for it is $567,640. That's broken down into several portions. There's a road, the construction of the road is about $303,000. Tower itself, and I'll get into those details in a second, is $190,000, which brings the total to $493,000. But we have the 15% contingency entered into that, so it's that's a $74,000 contingency plan. So this camera, if we are able to go forward with the project, would be the first of its kind in the Tiller area. This is an area that's notorious for lightning strikes and for some human-caused fires as well. But it really doesn't have any coverage. There's some areas that are tribally owned as well as owned by private timber companies and as well as federal lands that have no coverage during the fire season. The cameras that are in the surrounding area, there are, I believe, 78 detection cameras with 16 in Douglas County. Those are all operated by ODF and DFPA. There are areas in that area in Tiller that have dead spots. So if we move forward with this, it'll protect the area of Cabot Creek, Tiller, Milo, Drew, those communities, and cover Umpqua National Forest, BLM land, and tribal and private parcels as well. It'll also help with serving underserved members of the Douglas County area, such as tribal members and the rural folks in those areas. We have 13 letters of support from local community members and businesses, including DFPA, Lone Rock Timber, Douglas Timber Operators, and of course, rural fire departments. A lot of these folks respond to these fires, and they, of course, become regional issues if they get out of hand. Having a camera system like this is going to help us to mitigate those strikes early on, catch them in the incipient stages, hopefully, so we can get them put out and attend to other issues as well. If we do put this in, it'll dovetail with the existing network cameras that are maintained by ODF and DFPA. We have a plan moving forward with DFPA. We'll be able to maintain the cameras jointly, and the tribe will provide services or the money for services, as well as for maintenance of the camera towers, the technology, and the road itself. Any questions? So
that was pretty tight. I was going to say you had about 20 seconds left. So.
Oh, okay.
Do we have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
I don't think I do.
Teresa's checking, our chair is checking. It does not seem like there are any questions at this time from the committee.
Thank you,
okay.
Tom.
All right, thank you. Take care, we'll be in touch.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Okay, the next one up is the City of Sutherland.
Hi all, my name is Aaron Swan. I'm the Public Works Director at the City of Sutherland. And I apologize, the Community Development Director was supposed to present this and I have not heard from her. I don't know where she's at, so I'll try to muddle through this as best I can. Our application is, it's for 2 generators mounted on trailers to provide power to our lift stations that provide water to our upper system, our upper area water systems. If you don't know about Sutherland, it's kind of in a valley. And our treatment plant pumps water into all the main reservoirs, but the city goes, kind of slopes uphill quite a ways. So those reservoirs won't feed quite a lot of our neighborhoods that are higher. So in the event of a power outage caused by a wildfire or an earthquake, or whatever it might be, those upper area systems won't be serviced after 2 days. That's our basic water storage. So to provide water for the citizens and to provide fire protection for the hydrants and those sorts of things, we propose this this project so that we can be mobile with these trailers and go around to these pump stations that are more remote and provide them with power to pump water up to our upper reservoirs. As you can see in the application, our design is $103,000. The actual construction is $515,000. A few other small amounts and $103,000 contingency for a total of $741,450. That's about the other little piece of the fire puzzle is that they're not only our highest elevations, they're on the periphery of the city. So if we are having a fire danger or a wildfire situation, all the hydrants and everything will help the firefighters, the DFPA, the tanker trucks, everybody mitigate that before it gets closer into the actual more populated, densely populated areas. So that's it in a nutshell. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer those.
2 seconds left. Just
No
everybody's
kidding.
just so tight today. Whoops, sorry.
Do we have any questions?
That's great.
All right, well, thank you.
Aaron.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead for Glide.
Hello, I'm Katie Wright. I'm the general manager for Glide Water Association. Basically, Glide's continual growth has stretched the capabilities of our current water treatment facility, which had its last upgrade back in 2006. In the summer months, our plant often operates at or near full capacity. During the day of the Archie Creek fires, our water storage reserves were completely depleted in less than 24 hours. Fire hydrants for our water system went dry, hindering firefighting efforts, and it took over a week for our water storage reserves to get back to full capacity. Since that day, engineering companies and professionals have helped us evaluate and establish our water system's priorities and needs. A plan was created which outlined the improvements that needed to be made, with upgrading our water treatment capacity being the top priority. Our water treatment capacity upgrades project will include the installation of a new 175 gallon per minute rapid sand filter that is identical to our current 175 gallon per minute rapid sand filter, which will also be updated. Once they are both operational, the filters will be able to alternate or work in tandem to produce a total output of 350 gallons per minute. Additional upgrades will be made to the rest of the system to provide dependable water production. Business Oregon awarded us loan funding for our project with a total budget of approximately $1,433,000. Only 29% of the project budget will be forgiven, and our members will have roughly $1,017,000 of unmet needs. Without assistance, our members will see a rate increase pushing 17%. If we receive the PIERS grant, the rate increase will be much less at about 5%. Does anyone have any questions? Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, City of Oakland. How do you wanna do that, since there's nobody?
They were gonna come because we're just,
A little
everybody's
early?
being so efficient with their time. We had talked about taking a break for those who could not come any sooner because they had asked for specific time slots. So
Yeah, we're half an hour ahead of their time slot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a break at this point and
So-
I will let my folks know. But yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I could just say a few words before, I would just like to maybe for the audience, understand the process a little bit more. So it looks like we're going through these fairly quickly. I just wanted to let you know that we've been working on this since I think November. And part of it was education. This PIER grant was very unusual in its sideboards that it placed on who could get the grant. It prescribed the committee, it prescribes the process. It also prescribed what the criteria was for getting the grants. We went out with the hopes of getting lots of applications, but it was a pretty daunting task just to do this application, as some of you have probably went through. So I wanna thank everybody who did put in an application, but we've worked through these applications a couple months ago and tried to show them where they had deficiencies that would not validate them for going forward with the PIER grant, cause we're not the final say. We present our findings to the state and they will look at that, and as long as it goes along their guidelines, then it'll move forward. So not to waste anybody's time, we kind of tried to get it right ahead of time so that we'd have it as close as we could when we moved it forward. So if you hear us not asking questions, it's not because we don't know about the process. We've actually went through these applications quite a bit in the last few months, so we kind of know them. And I just wanted to say that because I felt that was necessary. And I do appreciate everybody that has gotten these applications, so.
Sure.
So you're still on schedule for April 1 for recommendations?
For
The award?
so
Our recommendations will go to OCHS.
OHCS, Oregon
And they
Housing.
will review, kind of vet, make sure that the projects are eligible, and then once we get the clearance, then we'd make announcements. So basically, that's what Commissioner Kress was saying, we don't really have the final say, they actually will tell us if these projects actually fit the criteria.
What's the timeline approximately?
So what I can say, we have a couple of the actual funders online. There was a time period set for public comment and a time period set for them to be able to respond to those, cause they know what their timeline would be, so we'll make that a question for them that they can answer. We can see if we wanna take just a 5-minute break right now. I can see if the other two applicants can bump up their timeline. If they can't, then we wanna wait and hold space for them, and I'll let you guys know what that sounds like. If we can condense the time frame and have OHCS funders available to answer questions like that sooner, let's do that. So, I'm gonna take a 5-minute break right now,
Sure, whatever.
then I can contact some folks.
So we'll resume at 2:20.
2:20?
Oh, it's 2:15 right now. And it is because we're moving pretty quickly through these presentations. We're gonna have some open time for public comments or questions. So if there's anybody in the audience that would like to ask a question, we have some time.
So I guess I have a question, kind of directed to the committee. I was doing some research on this myself, on the Douglas County website. it does say used for a wide range of activities is the wording they describe it as. But when you read into the policy manual for PIERs, it actually describes it as there are two categories as far as recovery and mitigation. And it sounds like every grant, other than possibly the GLIDE one, has been for mitigation. Was there any focus as a committee on really reaching out to different groups as far as the recovery aspect of this goes? Because the way it's worded on the website again differs from the actual PIER policy manual, which recommends the mitigation is more for fire planning and or for natural disaster, as it actually states that anything that is to reduce expected loss of life or property in the face of identified natural hazards, and it must clearly result in increased resilience from the natural disasters. And it sounds like, so far these categories of all these projects seem pretty well within that category, but it just seems like there might have been an opportunity to reach out to a few organizations, the Clyde School District, even, I didn't look into if federal groups are eligible, but rebuilding parks, rebuilding infrastructure in Glide, it seems like there was kind of a lack of recovery. And I was just wondering if the committee really worked to reach out to those local organizations that were truly affected by the fires.
Yes, I'll let everybody else have a time. Yes, actually, when the notification went out, we actually reached out to all counties, cities, and special districts within Douglas County to let them know about this opportunity. During the first letter of interest, we actually got 2 applications from the Clyde School District. And then again, everybody was kind of coached and directed after the initial review of how to potentially make their application stronger or eligible for this type of funding. They decided not to resubmit. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Does anybody else on the selection committee want to add?
No, I think you did good there. I should note that it's only eligible for what you said, the local governments, cities, municipalities and special districts, school districts, that kind of thing.
Because we actually did have some additional letter of interest, and some of them, again, they were all invited to kind of work on their application and resubmit. Some of them just chose to look at it differently and realized they probably weren't eligible for this type of funding.
And further that, we did not pare our list down. Our goal to this point was to educate what they needed to get their application to pass muster, and this is where we're at with what we have left.
My apologies, a process thing. Public speakers are asked to be at the podium and speak their name since it's on there. Sorry, I should have caught that. And we're doing 2 minutes per.
Can you share your name, please?
Yeah, do I need to come up?
Just share your name so we have it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that has a question or comments?
Let's see if we can, since we have a few minutes while we're waiting for our next applicant, if that's okay with you, Chair, let's see if I can get someone from OECS to answer his question.
That'd be great.
So Leslie or Martin or Julie, looks like any of you 3 might be able to answer. Can you come up and kind of, yeah, you had a question for the funders, final approval time frame. I will misstate your question, so.
My name is Tim Nyman. I live in the Glide community. My question was just the process of what your recommendations are and what the timeline is as far as what we can expect to hear back from you on that.
So Leslie, Martin, or Julie, were you able to hear that question, and can one of you answer that? Go ahead, Julie.
Hi, thanks for the question. So once the committee here today recommends the projects to OHCS, we will then start our review, which will be, that process looks like we will meet with the applicants, go through their application, ask for any additional materials, and then based on how long it takes for them to respond with additional materials, it could take another couple of weeks. Once it's approved by OHCS, we'll start any environmental review and start the agreement process for the subrecipient agreements. Our hope is to start all projects approved today around the end of June, beginning of July. So hopefully that answers your question.
Can I get clarification on that? You're gonna start the evaluation in June, or you be finished by June?
Depending on the complexity of the project, we would like to be able to start projects in June. We would hope to have them approved by the beginning of June, and then do the subrecipient agreement. Again, it's going to depend on the complexity of the projects that you approve today. If it requires any lengthy engineer review, if it's a simple infrastructure project, it might go a little bit quicker. If it requires extensive environmental review, it's going to go a little bit longer. So it's going to be on a project by project basis, but we are trying to get money to our subrecipients as soon as possible.
On the three that we've heard, or any other public comment?
Do we have any other? Is there anybody online?
There's nobody online.
Except for the funders are
Oh,
online.
my online.
Oh, sorry.
Not your online,
That's
my
right.
online.
Nobody online, okay.
And I can check, I don't think anybody submitted anything by email, but I can double check that too. So our next applicant is set to hopefully present in about 2 minutes. We can take a nap for 2 minutes. I'm gonna check with Tamara for online.
What do you mean?
Email, because people were able to email as well if they weren't able to attend.
Okay.
That's fine. Nothing received by email, but I'll keep monitoring. This is where you get out your knitting.
Bring everybody back together. Alrighty. Anyway.
Did you officially gavel us in?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just waiting for the handouts.
She's doing so great.
Okay. Well, my name is Betty Keeley, I'm the mayor of Oakland, and this is Jim Hart, he's our public works director. And I don't know if you know Oakland, we're a very small, rural, historic community of about 950 people. And we have our own water system. And that's where our problems begin. And you can read our little handout, I'll just kind of hit some highlights in there. We have had water problems since the time that our new plant has opened. I'm not sure if it was a delay in the construction from the time it was engineered to the time that it was finally finished, or if these were just inherent problems in the engineering. But we've been fighting this plant since it was first opened in 2003, I believe. Well, the fight got a little harder when our intake in 2015 was damaged. And in 2019, we were so happy because we got a new intake and our water was running beautifully, the plant was working wonderfully, and then the Archie Creek fire happened. And although we were actually very safe from the fire, we didn't have any burned buildings or homes. We suffered just like everybody else in the county with the air quality and all that. The ash from the fire was floating down the Calapooia Creek from the very beginning. That was something that Jim could sort of handle, and it wasn't an emergency situation. After the fire was extinguished, then we started seeing many problems once the rain started, and the whole watershed for the Calapooia Creek was burned. And so we had just scar tissue on our burn. And it released a lot of things that we didn't know existed, and that the engineers for our water plant didn't know existed. And so it was not prepared to handle what was coming down the creek. That's our only source of water. We don't have an alternative. So we have to fight for it to get it to work properly. We only through Jim's ingenuity, we were able to keep the water running and keep it safe. But that was very difficult to do, many 24-hour shifts, and our public works department is 5 people, so it's hard to have one person who's there 24 hours and what does he do the next day? He's got to sleep sometime. So we struggled, but we also realized there was a problem that needed to be resolved, and it was something that wasn't going to go away because it didn't go away. It just kept coming more and more and more. Different types of organic materials and different types of inorganic materials. So that was where Jim went to find what can we do to remedy the situation. And there were studies done, tests taken, a lot of investigation done into what was going on with our plant. And the EPA finally sent a team from someplace on the East Coast to study what was going on in the watershed. And they prepared a report, and it's mentioned in that pamphlet that said that we had some different types of materials, minerals, and bacteria that we had in our water that were not present before, for the reason that we are speaking of. The temperature of our water increased mightily because of the fact that there was no coverage for the creek. So we've been fighting that since that time. I know my time is up, is that correct?
Additional time or?
Just a little bit more?
Sure, just a tiny bit more. I would just like to say that, I will actually wrap it up. We are looking to make the water good for a lot of years, a number of years, so that our people can really feel secure in the water that they're getting in their homes. And right now, that's not with us. So we have some FEMA grants, we have some other money that we're trying to use, and this money would help us to bring that to fruition so that we can provide that good water for all of the people in our community and the surrounding area. Thank you very much.
So, hey Betty, before you go, I have
Yes.
a question. For a clarification more for the audience and everything, because not everybody understands, and you said it, but I wanna point out that the Cow Creek, which, or Calapooia is your water source.
Yes.
Its headwaters is very close to, Rock Creek and everything else that was greatly impacted by the Archie Creek fire. And so I just want to make sure everybody realizes that if you look at a map, Oakland, Sutherland, all that, and Glide are very actually closely, related there. And so
Yes, we are.
not everybody realizes that water system was burnt, and even though you didn't, like you said, what homes weren't threatened, it was impacted. And I just want to make sure everybody understood that. And I have that correct?
That is absolutely correct, yes. It was a delayed impact.
Yeah.
And ongoing, so, yes. Any other questions?
I just want a clarification. So this is to get your system back to
Pre-fire, yes. Because we were good there for like 6 months. It was like a holiday. Nope. It was a honeymoon. And it was great, but it didn't last, so we're into the next problem. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
other one's gonna be a little bit, do we have any, since we've heard from the city of Oakland, do we have any audience that would like to ask any questions?
Any questions, you can just ask us about our city if you want.
Promoting like a mayor.
Sure.
So we can see if the section set aside for the OHCS funders could be addressed, or we can pause. I wanna be fair to our 3 o'clock and give them equal treatment. That would mean that folks would get a substantial break, but that's just what their availability was, so I'll leave it up to you.
Fine, what,
Waiting till they present.
it's fine, dude, whatever you wanna do.
Okay, so I think at this time, because we wanna give fair time and presence and attention to all of the applicants. We have one more applicant coming in at 3 o'clock. It's 2:38 now, so we wanna take a break until 3 o'clock to include the funders online.
Do I need to go?
I think you need
Call this meeting back to order, and our last presentation today is from Winston-Diller Water District.
Good to go.
Yes, go for it.
Hi, my name is Tanner Pence. I'm the district manager for Winston-Dillard Water District. And I could start by, I'll just probably go through this as quickly and easily as possible. Winston-Dillard Water District seeks support from the PIER committee to connect an emergency power system to the water treatment facility that is capable of fully operating the system during a natural disaster or wildfire event. The new resilient emergency power system will ensure the water distribution system can deliver fire suppression and domestic water supplies during the extended grid power outage. The project will mitigate potential losses to life and property. The project seeks a waiver to request less than 50% of the current minimum project value, and the project is ready to connect to the water treatment plant. Winston-Dillard Water District serves approximately about 8,300 people, ensures reliable domestic and emergency potable water through utilization of a modern water treatment facility. We have 128 miles of distribution pipelines, 237 fire hydrants, and 2.75 million gallons of water storage. Unmet need. The critical community risk is lack of emergency power at the water treatment facility. During a power outage event, the water treatment facility is inoperable. Winston-Dillard Water District began design and procurement of a new emergency power system back in January of 2023. Electrical equipment is purchased and placed on site, ready for connection to the treatment plant. Supply chain cost escalations resulted in the inability to complete the project. The equipment is on site, ready for the final phase of the project currently. On the next slide, there's kind of an overview of the engineered drawings with whatever is highlighted in red. That is the rest of the project. So all that is needed for funding is just construction costs to finalize this project. And then this is a real-time view of last week, and then what you see at the beginning by the generator is in red, that's already done, and then everything in yellow past that to the automatic transfer switch, and then the junction box is what needs to happen. It needs to be installed to complete the project. The new emergency power system will be capable of ensuring a fully functional operational plant and delivery system indefinitely during a natural disaster or wildfire event. Protection of property and potentially human for underserved community and protected classes. Aligns with local priorities and criteria for unmet needs. More resilient infrastructure and mitigation of natural hazards. WDWD provides an indispensable service to the community currently. We have invested significant time and resources to make this project connection ready due to the emergency of the, that we feel of an emergency to the community. Funding support of less than $250,000 will enable the prompt connection and commission of the project.
Thank you.
Do you want to give a little more time or wrap up?
Do you have a little bit more to
I just
say?
have one little
Sure.
bit. Without peer support or alternatives for funding, other alternatives for funding project completion will need to be pursued, which will defer the project benefits and extend the project risks for the community.
Are there any questions from the selection committee?
None, not at all? Boy, that's what I was excited about, I think.
Your application was very thorough.
Okay, thank you. And then, so we've kind of give a little bit of background of this. How it came up was the new rolling blackouts that we've been seeing from Pacific Power has us absolutely terrified for the community. Just being able to operate our water treatment facility indefinitely, no matter what's happening with the world, is extremely important to make sure that our citizens don't run without water. And also fire hydrants. We currently have 237 fire hydrants in our system. We don't own them, the fire district does, but we work very closely with them to make sure that everything is in operable condition for no matter what happens.
We wanna see if there's any, is there any questions from the audience on this project? Thank you. I think at this point in the agenda, we're going to open it up to OHCS to provide some comments or answer any questions. I know we did a little bit of that earlier.
Chair, I think he needs to know what he's doing next.
Sure, this is Julie from OHCS. Are you able to hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Julie.
Oh, I was just going to say, in Tanner's presentation, he did mention a waiver for the $500,000 minimum for subrecipients on this project. And based on what we know about the project, it does meet the criteria for that waiver. And it's something that would very likely be approved by OHCS if that was something the committee wanted to consider.
At this time, do you have questions now that so that's all five applicants have been heard. You've been able to listen in. This is the period of time we had set aside, Chair, up to 10 minutes, I think.
Yes.
Max of. For those of you, Martin, Leslie, Julie, do you have questions about any of the applications that you've heard so far? Any comments you want to make at this point about the program?
I would just say, Emily, that you've done an outstanding job communicating and asking questions of OHCS. I know the peer procedures are not the most simple, and so I just wanted to thank you for doing such a great and thorough job, and also working with your applicants and such. So just wanted to say and let the committee know that I really appreciate your work.
Feel free to give us $3 million more.
Oh, you know, I wish I could. That would be.
Oh shoot, she was cutting out. Oh dang. Well, thank you for that. Martin or Leslie, do you have any comments or questions at this time?
No, none at this time. Thank you.
None from me either. Thank you.
Well, the next agenda item is for us to meet and finalize our recommendations.
So I have a criteria sheet. I got tasked with doing math. So I have to use a criteria sheet that the PIER program provided for us. I pre-filled a summary of information from each of the applicants' statements. And I pre-filled the amount that folks were asking for, and now I need to go ahead and collect and tabulate, and then we'll reconvene. So if you will give me the patience of 5 minutes or so while I do that. Funders, I assume you're gonna stay on with us for this period of time. I don't think it'll take me 5 minutes, but I'm gonna need to double check my entries.
I'm here for you.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, one moment, please. these for public record. discussion, if there's any questions. If we are comfortable, we can say which ones are going forward, all are going forward for OHCS at this point, whatever you want to say. And then I'll clean this up so it's more legible, make a digital copy that will go online as well.
So is everybody comfortable on the selection committee making that final vote today?
I am.
I am.
Yeah.
You want to?
Discussions on it.
My biggest discussion was that 30% allocation. It'd be, it's typically my history that admin's 10%, but again, I think even if we had to hold it back, these projects that we're awarding, we just get that in the motion after that's vetted. If they're approved to move forward and or issued the grant, I think that could come into play later.
Okay, so this I assume is under the deliberation side of this. That's where we're at now.
I think we're deciding if we are comfortable with.
What we have now in front of us is basically we have ranked projects and collectively, now we're looking for actually coming up with a dollar figure of an award based on that rank. I will tell you from my standpoint, you know, since we're talking here, you know, there's these are all great projects. There's 5 really good projects, very good. You know, they all hit the mitigation thing very well. And I hate picking winners and losers, especially when somebody's worked at this much trouble and done that good job. So one of the things I do like about this process is that it makes it sort of black and white for us, because you know, it had criteria. We had to follow that criteria. There was quite a few of them, and when you add up the different layers, it basically gave us each a score. We all came up with a score, and that ended up going to the ranking that came today. It's not perfect, but I think it was probably the fairest way to do that. You know, so I don't know what you're looking for me, but
Well, if everybody's comfortable moving the projects forward, I'm recommending that we vote as a committee to do that. And my recommendation is to move all 5 to OHCS for vetted and eligibility, and to again, after that's taken place, to award the top 2 that have shown on this ranking sheet for the grant.
okay. So make sure I understand that. You would like all 5 moved to OHCS for vetting. Our recommendation is to take the top 2 ranks for award if they clear. And then if they don't, then you would bounce down to the next one down the line.
And just to clarify, I did not take the time to do any kind of math or correlation on any of, some of you made notes about different budgetary considerations and things. All I did right there was just your ranking based on the criteria, right? So that's a separate conversation that didn't address, just in terms of the criteria, the 10 criteria on that ranking sheet.
And for discussion purposes, I would second that motion.
And the only reason why I'm saying the top 2 is because they're considerably higher in ranking than 3, 4, and 5. So that's why. I mean, if there was closer, I would have said maybe the top 3, but you have quite a bit of difference in ranking between 1 and 2, and then your remaining 3.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that's a good rationale. As we were, you know, listening to the speakers, I started getting soft and rethinking, you know, would it be helpful to, you know, provide the substantial part of the award to those top 2 ranking projects, and then offering a reduced amount to some of the others. You know, I've been on the receiving end of that at times, and you know, sometimes it's helpful, and it can it can provide seed money or match or get a project off the ground that otherwise wouldn't. But sometimes it's just frustrating too that what do you do with that kind of thing? You can't actually, if a counter award is below a threshold of allowing a proponent to actually do something meaningful, then really we could just be frustrating a grantee. So yeah, I would support it, but I will admit I had some second thoughts as we were listening.
It just goes to tell you how good all projects are.
That's why I asked OHCS if they would give us $3 million more.
Just needed 2.1 more.
So are we comfortable with somebody making a motion? I don't think I can make.
Yeah.
Can I do that as a chair?
I thought you did make a motion. If
Can I
not,
do
I'll
that
make
as a
that
chair?
motion. If somebody gives a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
So just to clarify that, our recommendation is to move all 5 projects onto OHCS for their review and approval. And again, if 1 and 2 clear that hurdle, then a dollar amount of a grant would be determined. And as she mentioned earlier, as they go through that review process, there could be questions and additional paperwork that would need to be submitted for them to kind of do their due diligence in their process. And the sooner that we can get through that, the quicker we can make awards.
And at the funder's request, the ranking criteria and sheets will be made available at the same place that the applications are also available for viewing for anybody who's interested. The OHCS folks online, do you have any questions at this point for us, or the committee anyways?
Emily, are you able to share how they ranked right now?
Yes. City of Oakland ranked number 1, Glide 2, City of Sutherland 3, Winston-Dillard 4, and Cow Creek 5.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat that one more time? I apologize.
City of Oakland ranked 1, Glide Water Association 2, City of Sutherland 3, Winston-Dillard Water District 4, and Cow Creek Tribe 5.
Thank you.
Do you have any closing comments?
I do. I would be very remiss if I didn't thank my committee members here. They've put a lot of time and effort in this. I asked each of them to do this because for one, the PIER process required people to do this process, but it was a lot of work for them, and I appreciate the time they put into it. It was a pretty complicated deal. I also would really like to compliment Emily on this. This is one of her first projects she's done for Douglas County in terms of getting a grant through like this, and this was kind of an onerous one. When we first got this application back, whenever it first was announced, it was like, man, okay, yeah, we'll start working on that. But it was like, I don't know about getting all this done. And she kind of took the bull by the horns and got it done and did a lot of work and kept us all going, and I really appreciate that. I also would, really like to I really appreciate all the applicants. I mean, these were thorough, very well done applications. And like I said, I hate picking winners and losers because they're all winners, and I wish we had enough money to do them all and the process worked that way, but it doesn't. So thank you all, and thank you, Chair. Good job you've done.
And I would say we have had, I had discussions with OHCS, if there was additional funding that came available, can they keep us in mind? If there are other sources of funds for projects. We don't know yet what OHCS is what their take on this recommendation is gonna be. They could come back with something different, but any other questions or comments from our funders as the committee closes us out, for those of you who are online?
I just want to echo the sentiments of thanking the selection committee. I know this is a lot of time and consideration, and these were all excellent projects for PIER. So just a thank you again to you, Emily, to the selection committee members, and also the project applicants. Thank you.
With that, we'll go ahead and close this.
Oh, I'm sorry, Neil, did you have something you wanted to say? Also with
I was just going to be a broken record, and this process is super hard. I was at the table with Lane County they probably had 15 of these. So you guys did it at the right pace, and this is, just super excited for you guys. So it should be fun.
Thank you.
help us find more money.
Yeah.
We have lots of cool people here.
And I guess I would echo Emily's thought there, you know, when you have this kind of opportunity with these funding opportunities, that we become aware of their still need in our region. And so it does keep organizations like at least CCD looking. When we hear about opportunities now, we know we could reach out to a community and say, okay, if you haven't had that issue addressed, let us look at this. So again, by bringing these opportunities, it does, even though we can't meet everybody's needs, it does make us aware of them. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and close out the meeting, adjourn it.